Hello, everyone, and welcome to, I guess we'll just this new podcast project we're starting called Geeking Out with the Athletic Geek. I was up all night coming up with that name, but it works. Anyway,
It's terrible.
well, you got something better?
I was about to say, I didn't know we had a name for this. I was going to be, welcome to this.
Welcome to our show.
Our show. This was suggested, the name was suggested to me by someone not in this chat, but this is...
it works, it's on brand.
We're starting out with probably the most important wrestling weekend in my life personally, not speaking for the other two guests I have this week. We have, coming back from various vlogs on the channel and a WrestleMania 19 watch through, we have El Charloco and Becky the Bun Bun's mom.
Becky's mom will go with. It's easier.
Becky's mom.
Somebody write that song for me.
Becky's mom. What's going on? So, we are going to talk about how we all met. And among other significant things in our lives, it is All-In Weekend. What is still to this day the biggest, at least in terms of my personal life, the biggest and best wrestling weekend of my life. And
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop whoop! We couldn't do that by the end of the show, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Dude, I couldn't whoop whoop by midway through the show. My voice was shot before Omega versus Pentagon.
It was close, but...
Yeah, mine was for about the following week afterwards.
Oh, right. Yeah. I got back to work several days. Probably I would sit at my desk trying to whoop whoop, and I couldn't do it.
So the first thing I thought we should talk about is how we heard about this event and what went into this event. I mean, I think everybody, if you are listening to this, you probably know the story behind All-In. But in case I'm reaching a new demographic, the story behind All-In was essentially the Bullet Club, namely the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, Marty Scurll, Hangman Adam Page, would cult following be the right phrasing, or...
I would think so.
They were getting enough of a cult following or enough of an underground following that they were able to essentially get their t-shirts more mainstream. They were the only non-WWE related wrestling merchandise at Hot Topic stores.
And it was selling better than WWE merch.
Yes. So...
They had their own Funko Pops that were apparently doing Disney numbers, according to Cody.
We never got one of Marty, and I'm upset about that.
Right. Well, that is a shame. But it started with wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer was asked if they felt that since most of them worked in Ring of Honor and New Japan, that with the hype and the popularity of the Bullet Club
and the Elite
in particular, being the Elite show on YouTube, if Ring of Honor or New Japan could sell out a 10,000 seat building, and Dave Meltzer said essentially he did not believe they could. Cody Rhodes basically just tweeted right at Meltzer, "I'll take that bet." So bankrolling this show was the Bucks and Cody. I think it should be mentioned the Bucks started their own essentially merchandise empire through their website, youngbucksmerch.com.
Yeah.
And so Cody and the Bucks were essentially bankrolling this entire show with the goal of really, and then they even said this in public statements, their goal was to just sell it out. They didn't really worry about ticket prices and the money. They were just worried about
They kept the prices pretty reasonable, too.
Yeah, they wanted to keep it reasonable because the goal was not a big profit. The goal was to get the 10,000 number.
Can we just sell out this building? Can we fill it?
Yeah.
So
this might be a conversation for another episode, but it is interesting to think, since they wouldn't actually say it, if how involved or how non-involved Tony Khan might have been.
Yeah.
in the development of All In.
Right. Charlie, just letting you know is because you are getting a little bit of feedback. I know we're breaking the fourth wall here. You're getting a little feedback when you talk. Just letting you know.
Okay, I'll try and be clear then.
Yeah, it's on the app I'm recording this on. When it goes into the red zone, it kind of gets a feedback. So I don't know if that's just I don't know if that's volume or what it is. It's a free program, and if you want to send a few bucks my way for a better program, hit me up. But as of right now,
let me get a job and I'll get you a better program.
Right. So how did both of you hear about this show? Like, where was it? A wrestling news website? Was it Being the Elite? Was it Meltzer? How did you folks hear about this show?
I heard about when they announced it on Being the Elite. And I'll admit, in the beginning, I had no intention of going at all. I'm just like, I just went to Chicago a couple months ago for a wrestling show. I'm not going to do it again. But that year, I happened to get a really nice tax refund, perks of being a student. And I said, well, I'm going to go to Chicago for all in.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mine was pretty similar. I believe I heard about it around that time through... not sure if I was watching BTE yet regularly, but at least Twitter when they actually announced it was either the date or the venue or something like that. And again, I was not planning on it because just a few months prior, I had already went to Los Angeles for Strong Style Evolved with the Golden Lovers Young Bucks match.
I still hate you for that.
And oh, it was a great match. The whole trip was great, but even when I did that trip, I was unemployed at the time. It was kind of I was just a spur of the moment, whatever wrestling equivalent of eat, pray, love, I'm gonna call it. And it was, and even at that trip, there was afterwards there was an after party with like some of the New Japan Reddit at a place not far from the venue, and the conversation was, "Are you going to go to Chicago now?" And at least on my side, I was like, I don't know. I want to, but I was already unemployed on this trip. This would just get me further in the hole.
Right. For me, I heard about it. I listened to the Salamonster show, or the clips from it on YouTube, and I remember he kind of talked about Meltzer and Cody's exchange on Twitter. And for me, like I'm like, hey, I really want to go to this, depending on location. I'm not gonna. Unlike the both of you, I'm like, well, if it's not within reasonable driving distance, I'm not gonna go. So,
yeah, that's how I felt.
I said if it's New York or California or Florida, then it's a no-go for me. But if it's Chicago, which that's probably the only place I could reasonably drive. That would be in the range that I could reasonably drive to. Indianapolis or St. Louis or Nashville just probably wouldn't accommodate it. And I'd really, up to this point, I hadn't really been following the independent wrestling scene too terribly much. I mean, I'd come to Ring of Honor when I'd come to my area. But just really... I was at the time in a relationship, so my fun money was not the biggest. Couldn't really afford a lot of fun money just selfishly.
Yeah,
so,
that's what sucks about being in a relationship. You can't spend any money on yourself.
But so I ended up not long after we split. I started. Well, I can afford more stuff now. I'll get a New Japan World subscription. I'll buy some Ring of Honor DVDs. I started watching Being the Elite. And what's funny about Being the Elite was that's truthfully what made me a big fan of the Bucks and Kenny Omega and Marty Scurll. Like I've already liked Cody from his WWE days.
Yeah.
But they went from, these are fun guys I watch wrestle to actually seeing entertainment value in them and seeing like,
Yeah.
oh, there's fun personalities. Oh, hey, here's some funny jokes and
Yeah.
some funny ribs and this, that, and the other. So I went from just kind of like, oh, hey, the Guineas are like phenomenal wrestlers. Oh, the Young Bucks, they're a great tag team to really enjoy. You know, it gave them more of a personality.
Yeah.
And I ended up liking them a lot more after that. So
I found it after G1 in 2016 because that's when I found Kenny Omega. And in that time between like the G1 and the next tour, I just binged whatever Being the Elites were available at the time because they only started the show a few months earlier. So I would just be watching. I'd be sitting on my phone for hours watching Being the Elite. It was kind of sad and pathetic, and that's me.
That's us here.
I'm just watching a bunch of wrestlers travel and joke around and, you know. But it was interesting and it was fun. It was kind of cool to see what these guys are really like when they're not in the ring, see what their personalities are.
My first big story that really got me into Being the Elite was the WWE Stooge / Where's Hangman.
Yeah, same. I think that's like the first. I think I watched a few episodes like prior to that, but that was like the first time I think I was like going weekly now that they had the angle going on.
Yeah.
And around that time, I feel like a lot of people were thinking the Stooge was going to be Daniel Bryan because people had already kind of done the math of, oh, his contract's ending this right when they're doing this show. So, and Cody must defend the belt against Daniel Bryan. So, like, people were already kind of like circulating that idea.
Yeah. Which would have been a great payoff to the story if it had happened, you know?
Trying not to get too big on tangents because we're on limited time here, but I thought that too, and I was really excited about that because I felt like Cody and Bryan really brought the best out of one another in 2011 when I feel both men really came into their own in the WWE. So I was really hoping that, you know, now that especially Cody had really matured into what he became and Bryan was searching for his wrestling freedom again, that would be an awesome main event to All In or Ring of Honor or something at that time. But
and with Bryan at Starcast, he could have given his perspective on a certain story Cody shared that weekend.
Indeed, but we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. So that is how we heard about the show.
Yeah.
So now it comes time for the on sale date. And I'm gonna let you guys start because I have my own story about the on sale date. Does anybody remember the exact day that was right off the top of their head?
I remember it was a Sunday.
Yes, I believe it was
a Mother's Day. I remember it was Mother's Day 2018.
Yeah.
Thursday, yeah, Mother's Day 2018.
Yeah. I know it was Mother's Day, and it was the week.
That was the 13th. Just doing a quick look in my calendar. The 13th of May, 2018. So.
Yeah, I remember it was finals week for me, and I should have been studying for my German and English finals, but instead I was online trying to get all-in tickets.
Well, for me,
priorities, man.
At my, I'm not going to mention what I do for work, but I did have to pretend I was sick. From my job, and so that way I could make sure I got. At the time, the game plan was great, all-in tickets. But I'll let you guys tell your stories before I get to mine.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be having a few.
Yeah. I remember mine. I had my laptop and my phone out. I had the website open for. I don't even know what time. I got on there probably an hour before the tickets went on sale. Just maybe even more. I don't even remember. It felt like it was all day. And just waiting for the tickets to go on sale. And the sale finally starts. And just being in this never-ending loop of a waiting room.
Yeah.
Thinking, I'm never going to get a ticket. I'm not going to be all in. I'm going to have to buy this on pay-per-view. This sucks. I'm sitting there for about probably close to 45 minutes. I waited. And I finally got in. I was able to get a ticket. It was on the floor. It was like 20 rows back. I'm like, I'm not going to see a damn thing from this seat. But I just want to be there and be part of it and say I was at All In. I think the ticket ended up being like $60, and I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I grabbed my ticket, got it, and I think it had one of the last tickets because shortly after I bought my ticket, the announcement came up that it was sold out.
Right.
So I think I probably got one of the last tickets available. I'm like, Had to buy multiple tickets, I wouldn't have gotten anything. So I was glad I was going on my own for this. Nobody wanted to travel to Chicago for wrestling with me.
Well, nobody should want to travel to Chicago.
See, and you were being a good fan. However, I was a bad fan, and I doubted them, and I had to pay for it afterwards. Because I was already like, well, I'm already in the hole coming back from, because I don't even think this was a month or a little over a month since coming back from LA. And me and my brother talked. Yeah, so that was at the end of March. So just like a little over a month, maybe month and a half since then.
Yeah.
Still not with a regular full-time job. Still kind of going through shit. But me and my brother talked about doing All In.
Yeah.
Because he saw how much of a good time I was having. And I was getting the vibe that this is going to sell out, but not immediately. Because I was looking at, for example, what was it? The New Japan show, the Cal Palace show. I think those tickets had already gone out.
Yeah.
But they weren't
and there was
well.
not a high demand.
No.
There was not a high demand for those. And even they had the on Facebook, Pro Wrestling Tees. They had like the pre-sale press conference like an hour before tickets went on sale. I remember
that. Sorry, not to cut you off. I really thought they were going to pull like this huge rabbit out of the hat for the pre-sale press conference. Because there are people talking like, I'm kind of personally over this individual, but everybody's saying like, are they going to announce Punk? Were they going to announce Batista and have Drax the Destroyer versus Green Arrow? So all these things that were being kind of hyped up, in the rumor innuendo, if you will, and then they go, we got Rey Mysterio. It was just like a big episode of Being the Elite, and like, we're going to have the NWA title defended, and we're going to have Rey Mysterio. I remember just kind of like, at that point, I don't want to say I was feeling underwhelmed about the show, but I mean, like, whenever you have people thinking they're going to get Punk, they're going to get Batista, they're going to get, who knows what from New Japan. They're going to have Omega Okada 4 at All In, all these different talking heads, and it ends up being, hey, you got Rey Mysterio, who's essentially doing an independent tour before he goes back to WWE, and I'm like, oh.
Which I thought was pretty
cool.
And I
like Ray. I mean, like, I feel bad down Ray like that and downplaying him, but that's just kind of where my head was at watching that press conference.
Yeah. I was pretty
excited. More importantly, when I looked at the press conference.
Yeah. I was pretty excited about Ray because I'd never seen him live before, so I'm like, cool, I finally get to see Rey Mysterio live.
Yeah.
I
feel bad because he did add a lot to the show.
Supposed to see Ray 6 weeks prior to Slager, but we know how that went.
Right.
Yeah, and then with that press conference on the Facebook, I only had like 1,000 viewers. In my head, I was like, okay, there's not going to be an immediate sellout. I don't need to like empty my account right now to get.
You're breaking up.
And then
you're really breaking up.
My computer an hour later, and I see. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. It's technological crap.
All right. Let me know if I'm okay.
You're good now. You're good.
No, you're good. All right. But yeah, so like I said, I'm like, okay, it's not going to sell out. I have time. I go back to my computer an hour later, and it says, oh, it's sold out in like, what was it, like 20 minutes?
Like
even that?
29 minutes.
Yeah.
Not quite 30.
So I'm like.
It was a little bit more than, because I said I got my ticket about 45 minutes after they went on sale. But I said probably got like the last remaining ticket, because shortly after that, it was gone.
So yeah, so I just followed that by going, oh fuck, and basically had to then in a panic, I pretty much just depleted my bank account, getting two tickets off of StubHub that like normal price were like I think $20-$30 each. StubHub price were like $100 each.
Damn.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, because like I also bought one for my brother who was going to go at the time until I eventually sold his because he couldn't make it.
Oh, that sucks.
That does suck.
Yeah, so I was starving about the next week or two afterwards.
Oh.
A lot of ramen noodles, right, Charlie?
Yeah, exactly.
So I took the day off work with I'm going to give the whole little. I didn't have quite as bad as everybody else. I took the day off work, and I was being able to save more money because to me this was like going to be the ultimate. Other than like a comic book convention in Lexington, Kentucky that I went to that March, this was going to be kind of my whole. Hey, I'm single and I don't have to answer to anybody anymore, and I can buy whatever I want. So me and my friend Nick, we were going. I took the day off work. I was going to get the tickets. And I took the day off work not because I thought that it was going to sell out immediately, but because I thought like front row would sell out immediately. So my intention was buy front row seats.
Mine too.
So I get there and I'm actually in right away. This is where like when I look back on things, I realize how stupid I was and also how lucky I was. So I get in right away, but I don't see front row, and I thought I messed up. So I'm like, no, I don't want these. I don't want section this. I want the front row. So I refresh, and then I'm stuck in this online waiting. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what the fuck? What is the fuck is going on? I get back in, and the only thing, I click on best available. It's like, okay, that's how I need to do this now. And I'm already mad because I'm like, well, the front row's probably already gone, motherfucker, son of a bitch. And like the best are available is like the mid high up, like the $50-something and the $20-something seats.
Yeah.
So I get the two $50-something seats, and like I buy them, and I'm like, I better freaking get them. It's better gonna have, I better get them. And I'm pissed the whole day. I'm like, I wasted a fucking sick day for this. I wasted fucking, I could have worked overtime at work. Got no, and I'm.
But then you wouldn't have got anything, or you paid out your ass on StubHub.
Well, that's what I was.
Exactly.
I was just getting to that point. I'm like, I'm pure salty the rest of the day, and I'm like, motherfucks. I'm pissed, and I'm kind of having like my little childish. And then I get on Twitter.
I'm gonna say you're doing the Jim Cornette right there, motherfucker.
Motherfucker! Get the goddamn business, Wendy's, atheism. So anyway, I look on the frickin' Twitter, and I see Cody just typed, like 29 minutes, however many seconds. And I'm like, what? And I find out it's sold out, and I'm like, and I immediately go from, like, pissed off, like, kind of having my own little, like, angry little stew child thing, to immediately like breathing the most ultimate sigh of relief I've ever had in my life. And I'm just like, oh my God.
I was waiting for so long and thinking I wasn't going to get a ticket, and then actually getting one, it was like a huge sigh of relief.
It's like, oh my God, it sold out and I got it. Like, it happened, and like, it's kind of. It's like when you almost get hit by a car, and then you have like, you're okay until like 5 minutes after you're like, oh my God, I almost got hit by a car.
I almost died.
Yeah, maybe not quite that dramatic, but just kind of the whole like, all the nervous feelings of like, oh my God, I almost didn't get to go. I almost screwed this whole thing up. I almost missed out on everything, and then I was happy.
Yeah. I remember being so relieved when I got my ticket and so happy I was going to get to be part of this show. Like,
I still wasn't. I mean, even after I got the ticket, I wasn't. I knew it was going to be a fun show, but I really didn't. I didn't know what the show would be, if that makes sense. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, this might just be a really. Is it going to be... I didn't know what the show was. I just knew, like, okay, here's what's announced. Here's who's announced.
Yeah.
But what is it? Okay, there's going to be an NWA title match. Okay. Rey Mysterio's going to be... Okay, like, I still was like, what's happening with this show? There was still, but like, the Bullet Club Civil War was still going on in storylines. So I'm like, is this going to cap that off? Kenny wasn't the IWGP champion at the time, so I'm still kind of thinking, like, in my head, are they going to do that match in the United States now?
I think they already announced the Omega Okada match for Dominion by that point.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
They did?
Yeah, they had. They announced it, God, what event was that? I don't even remember. Was that Yeah, it was announced earlier in the month, I think.
Okay.
Maybe they would have had that match.
Yeah, I think it was announced at Don't Taku.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
So.
And they were gonna have Omega Okada 5 at All In, which would have been fine.
Oh yeah.
Not gonna complain about the match we got.
Any of the matches that we got with any of the individuals.
Yeah.
But,
although here's a question: did you guys think that the place was actually sold out? Because the big argument once like they hit after that 29 minutes was everyone being like, oh, that's just scalpers. Oh, a bunch of bots bought those tickets. There's no way they're going to actually have 10,000 people. It's going to be like a half full arena. LOL. Like that was like the big discussion. Like next 2 months on the internet.
I would say to all those people, well, they still sold the tickets and they still made the money on it. So, you know. You WWE fanboys like to go, oh, we're still making more money than you. Well, we still made the money, so I guess you can suck my dick. You can suck my dick.
I didn't care what anybody was saying. Like, I was just really excited about the show and getting to see a lot of wrestlers for the first time. Like, I had never seen Pentagon and Phoenix, and I was really excited about seeing them. I'd never seen Ibushi or Okada live, so I was looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And how they're going to incorporate some of the BTE storylines into this show, because you knew that was going to be a thing.
Oh, yeah. I said, because this was right in the infancy of me doing my live wrestling show on YouTube.
Yeah.
I remember saying on the first edition after we got we recorded this, me and Nick, we were on our way to go see Mick Foley do stand-up when we talked about how we just scored the tickets to All In. And I remember just making the point, 10,000 seats were essentially sold off of a YouTube show.
Yeah.
Like, off of, yes, there are people who want to see, but it was a YouTube show that made this happen. So, we've talked about how we heard about it. We've talked about how our on-sale dates went. Is there any funny stories about anything interesting about when we would the travel to get to Chicago? I know me living, even though Illinois is a big state, and it's with the exception of flying to New York for WrestleMania, this was the longest I'd ever gone for a wrestling show, and this includes going to Kentucky, Indianapolis, Tennessee, and Missouri for shows.
Yeah.
Was there any interesting travel stories or anything that happened, on the way to Chicago for the hotel? See anything fun like that?
My flight from Newark left at 6 a.m, so I had to be at the airport by 4:30. Yeah, and my dad drove me to the airport, and he's like, "Why did you get such an early flight?" And it's because it was the cheapest one available. It was a matter of I could spend my money on my flights, or I could, spend it on merch and stuff when I get to All In and StarCast. And I chose to spend my money at All In and StarCast and go way over budget. That's another story.
Like the Battle Royal, over the budget. Charles, anything on your end?
Well, let's see. When I landed, the main reason I ended up not going to Pro Wrestling Tees, because that was my first stop I planned.
Oh, yeah.
But pretty much when I got on the floor, or when I got on the ground, called to double check something with the hotel. Turns out I had booked the wrong hotel that I thought I had.
Ooh.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, thankfully not difference in price, in too much of price-wise, but the idea was that I was like, well, I can't afford any of these on-site, any of the on-site StarCast hotels, but there is Days Inn, or there was some, cheaper hotel walking distance.
Right.
Yeah, we had
or at least in that big vacant area that I could have walked to. And I was like, okay, I'll just book that. And my dumbass didn't realize that, let's just say this was Days Inn, I can't remember the brand itself, but they pretty much were using the same photo, the same generic stock photo of their hotel on each.
Oh, wow.
On each listing on, the sites.
That totally sucks.
Yeah, so, I think I saw it once, and then I went back getting what I thought that was, but it ended up being about a 10, 15-minute drive from that hotel to StarCast, and I did not budget or plan any kind of any kind of vehicle transportation at all that weekend.
Right.
Oh God.
So, at my end, it was Nick. Me and Nick were going to drive up together. You know, but then when I got my StarCast tickets, and we'll get to StarCast.
Oh God, we will get to StarCast.
I wanted to be there Thursday because I wanted. There was so many people and things I kind of wanted to see at StarCast, so I ended up taking the Amtrak train from my area up to Chicago. I had a $45 Uber ride. I mean, I budgeted. I'd saved for everything. Took an Uber ride from Union Station in Chicago to my hotel. Settled in, and I ended up leaving. I didn't know how long the train ride would be, so I booked and I made the joke. My train left at 3:16 in the morning.
Oh hell yeah!
But was that the right call? Because I end up, I wake up like at 12:30 at night. Get ready. My mother, because I didn't really, the train station is not stereotyping or talking down to anybody, but it's not in the best area of town. So I didn't really want to leave my car there for 4 days.
Yeah, I got you.
They didn't have the best security and everything there, so didn't really want to leave my car there. So my mother dropped me off there. My mother, and then because it was early morning for her, one of her friends rode along with us, dropped me off at the train station. Just waited there for however long it took. Got there around 2 in the morning. We left at 3:16. And I took the 5-hour train ride from Southern Illinois to Chicago. I always make the joke, I went 5 hours for a show in the same state as me. I've driven less than that to go to Tennessee for a show, but that's...
Wow.
So, I check into my hotel, and, it's still, I've been up for hours, but it's still only 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
Because I'm hungry and I'd like something to eat, and they're like, well, that's Gino's East Pizza right over there, but you got 2 hours to wait, so I try to settle in the hotel and sleep.
Your hotel didn't have a breakfast?
They'd stopped it. I didn't want to pay that kind of money for hotel breakfast.
My hotel came with a free breakfast.
Same.
I found out going to All Out that there was a free buffet, but the menu they gave me, I'm like, I'll hold out for pizza in 2 hours. So did all that. I end up I went to we'll cover more of this when we get to StarCast, but I remember just really waiting for a long time and then just going to StarCast and waiting some more. But we'll talk more about StarCast on the next edition of this, because boy,
I actually did get to Pro Wrestling Tees the day I arrived in Chicago. I landed, I got a ride to my hotel, dropped my stuff. I couldn't even check in, so I had them just lock my bags up in an office, and we took a train into the city just to go to Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm like, okay, don't blow all your money at Pro Wrestling Tees. They buy maybe 2 to 3 shirts that you really want. I ended up buying 6 shirts, I think, because they had everything I wanted from their website in stock. That store is so dangerous to walk into. It's I'm just going to buy these 2 shirts right here.
Well, the only time I've ever been there's been all weekend, so they wouldn't print the shirts. So I was okay, and yeah.
The only thing that sucked about it is they had a sale going on, but it was only on the website, not in store.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. So it probably would have been cheaper to buy everything online and have it shipped to my house, but I would have waited 3 weeks, and it would have been less shirts over the weekend. Because the funny part of this, I packed my stuff, and I probably packed 20 wrestling shirts for a 5-day trip. I wore none of them. I wore just the shirts that I bought that weekend. So lesson learned for me in the future is that when I do one of these trips again, don't bring any shirts, just buy them and wear them.
Right.
No. What you should have done is you should have bought them online and then like pretty much online on the way, and then pick them up at the store.
They weren't even doing that.
Oh damn.
They shut that down. Yeah, because I was thinking about that. But when they have a big sale like that, they shut down the in-store pickup feature of the website.
Gotcha.
Because it would just be impossible to keep up with the online and in-store orders. And they have like the other option where you can go like in the store and do like let's say there's a shirt you want, it's not available in the store, you can have them print it while you wait. They shut that off too. Which is probably good because
probably for the best,
more money.
But
I would have had no money for food.
We'll talk about that because on the next edition of Geeking Out, and if that name sucks, if you can come up with something better, I'll use it. But right now, we're calling this Geeking Out. We'll talk about StarCast, the good and the bad of StarCast.
The best part of StarCast
and the overpriced.
And the overpriced. We will talk about the show itself, and we will talk about the ramifications. Or actually, maybe that's a negative word. The fallout. Well, there's no really good word in my head right now for the aftermath. The aftermath of all in.
Yeah, I can't think of a good word.
Yeah.
This is my college education at work. I can't think of big positive words.
Let that be a lesson to you kids. Don't go to college.
Basically,
anyway,
yes.
We will see you on the next edition of Geeking Out, where we continue talking about our all-in adventure. See ya.
See ya.